When it comes to home espresso machines, there are basically two types. There are manual machines that look similar to what you'd find in a coffee shop, where you grind and you tamp and you pull the shots yourself. And there are automated machines like you'd find in a gas station or maybe an airport lounge, where your involvement is merely just like pushing a button and it makes the coffee. But there is a third category of espresso machines, semi-automated like this one. So this semi-automated machine, it's from a company called Acaspresso, and it's the AC21. Now, you still have portafilters and group heads and the like, but it very much helps you along the way. So let me show you what I mean. When you're making an espresso, you would need to grind some beans up, get the right dosage, make sure you put the right amount of beans in, and you need to perhaps distribute them so there's no clumps, and then you need to tamp down. Well, not with this machine, you don't. All you need to do is this. That beep tells me it's done. And look what we've got here. We've got a puck ready to receive some water to actually make coffee. So this has automatically ground the beans from its grinder up here. It's automatically got the right dose. You can see that it's really filled to about the right level here in the basket. And it's distributed the grind automatically as well. And then it's automatically tamped it down. You can see here, these are actually now pushed in. I didn't have to do any of that. And that is like 75% of making the coffee, is preparing this. So let me introduce you to all the different parts. So we've got up here the actual grinder that's kind of built into this, along with this basket here to store the beans. Now, the grinder itself, it's a conical burr grinder, and it's a 38mm conical burr. That's kind of in the beginner range of burrs. Like, it's not something you'd get in something a bit more expensive and maybe a dedicated grinder like a Niche Zero or something like that. But that's what it is, 38mm conical burrs, and it has a grinding speed of around 500 RPM. I don't know how big this thing is, but let's try adding a full bag of beans in. This is 12 ounces or 340 grams. Okay, that's not going to fit them all. I've still got a few left in here. There's probably like 100 grams left in this maybe. The lid that comes with this, the nice feature of this lid is it actually has this silicone seal that goes around it here. So when I put this on, it does create a nice airtight seal. That's important because we don't want our beans to stale with air getting in. So nice touch. Now, the way that you control the grind size is by setting a grind setting. There's a bunch of settings here on this ring. There's actually 35 different settings from coarse to very fine. And you just control it by turning it around there. You can hear the click. And we're just lining it up with this line here. Other features of this machine, at the back here, we've got the water reservoir. Now, this reservoir actually is pretty big for a machine like this. 2.5 liters this can hold. And it comes with a bunch of accessories, and this part's kind of fun. So it comes with this portafilter. This is a 58mm portafilter. I like 58mm because my other stuff is that size as well. It also comes with this milk jug as well, branded milk jug. This holds 450 milliliters of milk. That's quite a lot. At first glance, that's kind of all you get. But there are more accessories. They've just kind of put them in a really smart place. I love this. Where are the rest of the accessories? Well, let me show you. If I take out the drip tray and reach under here, what do we have? A little accessory storage box. This is such a nice touch. So in here, we have a second filter basket. This one is a 1-cup filter basket. We have this silicone insert, which we can use for cleaning. Also in here is this tool. This tool is a tamper install tool. So I believe you put this in here to remove and replace the tamper. I haven't had to use that yet. A little cleaning tool for the steam wand. And it also comes with this little brush, all neatly hidden away in this accessory tray. I know I might seem a little over enthusiastic about this accessory tray, but when you have espresso machines, they do come with a bunch of stuff and it's easy to misplace. I love the fact that it's stored here. While we're looking at this, there's the drip tray as well that's part of this. And because there's a grinder built in, you will find that there's not just going to be water in here, but there will be coffee grinds as well. Operating the machine, well, there's not much to it. There's just some touch sensitive buttons on the front here. So there's the power button to turn the thing on. And you can see a temperature display right here. That's set to 92 Fahrenheit. You can change that with the plus and minus buttons as well. So we got pretty close to making a coffee. Let's get the job done. How about that? So in terms of how much volume is in here, how many beans grinds did we add? Well, it auto doses, and it doses around 18 grams of coffee beans into the double cup, which is what I'm using here, and 12 grams if you use the single cup. You don't have to tell it that you're using double or single, it just kind of knows. Literally, as soon as you click this thing in, it pours that amount in. If 18 and 12 is not what you want, you can change it apparently. And also, I think if you add this back in and just kind of move it for a couple of seconds, it will add in a couple more grams as well if that's what you want, although I've not had any need to do anything like that. Now, the hot water side of things. There's a 15 bar pump in here, and that is pressure regulated. So it uses low pressure when it does a little pre-infusion for a couple of seconds, and then it uses 9 bar of pressure during extraction. In terms of how much it's going to extract, well, there's 2 buttons on the front here. There's a single cup and a double cup. If you select the 1 cup button, you're going to have about 40 milliliters of water pass through. If you go for 2 cups, you'll get 60 milliliters. That's not going to be the output. The output's going to be a bit less than that, but that's how much water will pass through the beans. Let's pass some water through the beans, huh? So we got 43 milliliters out, even though it poured 60 milliliters in because some of that water is still caught up in the grinds. It ran for about 30 seconds, so a few seconds pre-infusion, and then it ran again. You can see it ran for 21 seconds. That's from how long the first drop went into the cup until the end. Now, if that is not kind of the right amount of time that you want, then you just need to adjust your grind size next time and kind of dial it in. This is the output. Beautiful crema on this. Yeah, that's a solid extraction. I got the timing about right there. I've been dialing in this grind size with these beans. I know what works, and this works well. So look how easy that was, just simply moving from the dosing side through to the hot water side. And I didn't really have to do anything, but you know, I still was able to control a few things. I was able to control the grind size, and I was able to control the temperature. And you know, I still have a puck to throw away, and I feel like I'm making coffee. I'm not just pressing a button. Something interesting about this puck, by the way, it is really hard to get it out of this thing. There we go. But when it comes out clean. But I think this really is tamped with a good amount of pressure. I was a little skeptical how much tamping was going on with this machine, just because it's automated. So it's doing a pretty good job. So those are the positives, and I should add in the positive column. It is super fast to heat up. From pressing the button to turn this on to it recording that it's at brewing temperature, it's like maybe 30 seconds, probably less than that. So look, if you want to make a cup of coffee quickly, my goodness, this is the workflow, because you turn this thing on, and while the boiler is heating up, the 30 seconds that takes, you can instantly start grinding already. So by the time the boiler has heated up, you already have your puck ready to go. Stick that under there. The whole thing can comfortably be done in 2 minutes, which is pretty awesome. But it's not all sunshine and roses. There are some things I'm not such a fan of, and that is mainly due to steaming. So this is a single boiler system, and the way that we steam through this steam wand here is by using this control on this side here. If I push it backwards, that will pour out hot water. There it goes. But if I want to steam some milk now to go with my espresso, I need to give it a bit of notice. And this is where the it's really quick thing kind of falls down a little bit, because now we need to heat up the boiler to be steam temperature, not coffee temperature, not this kind of 92 degrees setting. It's a little bit finicky. So you push this knob forwards and you can see now that the light on the front is flashing. That means it's now heating up the boiler, and you start to see a little bit of water coming out the bottom here, making some kind of weird noises, and then you just wait. And it takes a little while now to bring that temperature up to steam temperature. Not a huge amount of time. There you go, it's ready now. The light's gone solid, and I can now turn that off and start steaming. And I think it's like 30 seconds or so to get going with the steaming now. And if I don't, it will just return back to the regular coffee serving temperature. So that was a good amount of steam. It was just kind of a bit of a faff and took quite a long time to steam that milk as well. The other thing with this steam wand is you want to clean it quickly with a damp cloth, but you can see already I didn't get it quite quick enough, and this is kind of solidified, so I'll really need a damper cloth to wipe that down. Yeah, milk kind of gets stuck to there pretty quickly. Now what it's doing, by the way, is it's going to be pumping more water and returning back to coffee temperature, which it's just reached 92. That means it's now ready to serve coffee again. So that's the process in terms of the milk that I steamed out of this. I mean, that looks pretty nice. The other kind of annoyance with this machine, just a little bit, is the noise that the grinder makes. May I remind you what that sounds like? Yeah, it's really loud. It starts off not too bad, and then it becomes very loud. So actually, if there are other people sleeping in the house, I don't want to run this grinder because it is pretty noisy. So look, this thing is very much aimed at beginners. It makes making a coffee really simple. For example, we're thinking of taking this to our Airbnb that we rent out, and I would never put a regular espresso machine there because it's just too complicated for your everyday person. But with this, I think with just like a little sheet of instructions, people would be able to follow and make a coffee, and I think quite enjoy the process. So look, let me know in the comments, are you familiar with using these semi-automated machines, and is it something that you're using? Because I think for me, going forward, I am going to stick with a semi-automated machine for some coffee tasks around the house, just because it's so quick and easy.